You're tuned in to the Foxboro BeatCast, a podcast for Patriots fans by Patriots fans. And here's your host, Kaleb McChesney.
Hello and welcome to the Foxboro BeatCast, everybody. I am your host, Kaleb McChesney. Alongside me, my co-host for the day, my special guest. We're going to go right over there to my boy John. You guys might remember him from the Giants episode. He's back once again.
Yep.
Hopefully not buried by the two other guests that we had last time.
Nick's
It was
got
a packed
big
show.
Personality.
It was a packed show on that Giants show.
Nick and Fawn's big personalities. They got a lot of talking.
Yeah. You couldn't stop them. And then you got my boy Trent, as usual, my favorite guest ever. And like I said before the show, if I could have him on every single episode, I would. He is that damn good, a real ball knower. You guys know all the nicknames and whatnot that you could give him. But before we start, boys, anything we want to lead off with? How was your week? Just small talk, grab ass, or do we just want to get right into it?
I just built a Pinewood Derby car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my hands are all jacked up. I had to cut with a key saw. I don't have one.
Trent, you ever run the Pinewood Derby when you were a kid?
I don't believe so.
No,
I don't think so.
Man, I did. I sucked. My cars always sucked. Brutal. We would all be in the troop leader's like garage. We make them all at once.
Right on.
And my car just never had it. It never had it. I went with my favorite colors, with red and black with the stripes. It looked legit. It really did, but never.
It looked cool.
Never had it down. Always had to add weights at the end when we went to put it up. It was just all sorts of nonsense. I wanted that thing from South Park where Randy put it in the car and it went to space.
Yeah.
But alas, that was the end of my Boy Scout dreams. I went and started to play football, and I sucked at that too. But that's neither here nor there. I did find that I was better at talking about football than playing it, and that's why we are here today on January 23rd, 2024. But before we get to the fun NFL news, we do have some Patriots stuff to go over. And do we want to start with the Patriots coordinators, or do we want to laugh at Belichick for not having a job yet?
I'm down for whatever, man. I don't think it's that funny that Bill doesn't have a job yet. I think he has his pick of teams, so I'd explore where I could too.
Man, I think it's just weird that no team has interviewed him besides Atlanta. No teams even asked for him.
Yeah.
And then Atlanta, they've been snooping around other stuff. I think they brought Harbaugh in for a second interview. Vrabel was brought in for an interview. A couple other guys.
Bill wasn't exactly putting together very competent teams for the last couple of seasons.
No, we know very, very, very well.
Yeah, I mean, you saw what he drafted.
So I think, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see what goes down in Atlanta. I understand that a lot of their coordinators and position coaches are looking elsewhere, preparing for the new coach that comes in. But Trent, you got any thoughts on Bill?
I do think it's interesting that nobody else has reached out to him. Atlanta is being super thorough. They're giving everybody second interviews. Harbaugh got one. Vrabel got one. I believe the Lions offensive coordinator, Atlanta is asking for a second interview with him. So they're taking their time. I still think that it is Bill's job to lose. I think Bill is going to be the head coach of the Falcons, and hopefully, fingers crossed, Vrabel ends up coaching the Chargers. So somebody else doesn't end up coaching the Chargers.
No, that's not a pro Vrabel take. That's a protective Harbaugh take. I know your tricks, Trent.
It is a pro Harbaugh take. But I do think I see the points for wanting Vrabel over Harbaugh if that's the way they go. I think Harbaugh's a better coach, but I don't think they can go wrong either way. I think they would both have the Chargers in much better shape than Brandon Staley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whatever his name is.
Yep. I almost said Brandon Stokely. Force of habit. Sorry.
Better. Stokely, sideline. Wow. But speaking of coaches, the Patriots have had theirs done for a little while. Gerard Mayo is the head coach for all intents and purposes. He is the guy going into 2024, and obviously with that comes a whole new coaching staff with Bill O'Brien going down to Ohio State to be their punching bag. And then we need to fill out our defensive coordinator spot. We need to fill out our special teams spot. We need to figure out GM still. And there is a list out there of the coordinators that we have looked at for interviews and whatnot. Nothing on GMs yet. It looks like it's going to be a pretty internal job until the draft at the very least, which scares me, to say the least. But let's just run through the list here of guys that the Patriots have requested to interview or have interviewed. Starting off with the offense, because everybody loves the offense. Dan Pitcher from Cincinnati. I think he's the QB coach there. So had some success with Joe Burrow, obviously, with Brian Callahan going to coach Tennessee.
Yeah,
he was looking like a shoo-in to become the next guy up for Cincinnati's offense, but be a hell of a steal to swipe him away. Another McVay disciple, and you got two more Sean McVay disciples from the Rams. You got Zach Robinson, who has spent some time here. He was a Patriots 7th round draft pick in 2010. Although he only spent the summer in New England, Robinson was in the building with Gerard Mayo, and since then he's worked as a quarterback consultant and an analyst at PFF, and he's been with the Rams ever since. So a bit of a familiar name to the Foxboro town, I guess. Foxboro natives. He's a little familiar. And then you have Nick Caley. Nick Caley's interesting. He was one of the few guys last year when the whole 2022 when the offense was just kind of up in the air. Nick Caley was our tight ends coach, and he just up and left for the same job with the Rams because of all the chaos that happened here in 2022. So having an interview there, I think, is interesting. If Nick Caley's interested in coming back, I mean, I'm all for it. So pause right there. John, Trent, any of these names kind of stick out to you as potential coordinators or what they could bring to the table in New England if you know anything about them? Feel free to just shake your head if you know nothing about them.
I'm a little familiar with Cincinnati's offense.
Oh, go then, John. What do you think is impressive about that?
Well, Burrow runs it pretty clean, so I mean that's kind of hard to tell if it's a good offense or if it's just Burrow and a lot of weapons. Because the second, you look at the entire span of it, Joe Mixon's going to be a very solid running back. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, once you've paid them, they shouldn't be on the same team because they're about the same caliber of important to the team. And then even Tyler Boyd's good. The team's kind
Tyler
of
Boyd would be wide
around
receiver one here, believe it or not.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt you at all. So it's hard to say whether or not his QB coach is going to be valuable for you guys, or if Joe Burrow is just kind of doing what Tom Brady did and running the offense for him.
No, it's very true. Trent, what do you know about Zach Robinson or Nick Caley from the Rams? If you have any thoughts on that McVay offense, and maybe there's a quarterback preference that you'd rather have if you bring in a Rams coordinator versus somebody else.
Well, I don't think it would have any impact on the quarterback decision. I think you bring in your guy no matter what, whether that is deciding between who gets left over between Drake May and Jaden Daniels from the Washington pick.
There's no quarterback you'd rather hope for.
If I were a Patriots fan?
Yeah, so if you're a Patriots fan, we hire Zach Robinson or Nick Caley to call plays for us. Is that different than if you hire, say, trying to think of a different type of offense, but we haven't requested any interviews, but throw a name out there, say a quarterback coach from Baltimore. Say he comes in. Would you rather have Jaden Daniels for that kind of thing versus Drake May for the Rams kind of thing? You see what I'm kind of pitching out there a little bit?
What offense would fit the quarterback better? Yeah, if it were Cincinnati, I would think it would probably be Daniels because it was, he's from LSU, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, Daniels is from LSU.
Yeah. I think that would be a bit of cutting off your nose to spite your face in a sense. Coordinators come and go. That quarterback you pick at 3 is going to be your franchise guy.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, you would draft the guy, then get the coordinator to get him. Now the Patriots will probably have a good idea of who they're getting at 3, but we're not even at the combine yet, so they're not even close to that. I think you get the coordinator that you like, and that wouldn't have any determining factor on where you go with the quarterback. The quarterback should be completely independent of that. Whoever you think is going to be the best guy to lead the franchise, that's who I think that the Patriots should go with. Nick Haley is going to be. I'm assuming he's really distracted right now. I'm pretty sure he's losing the New Hampshire primary right now.
No,
That's a
different Nick Haley.
That's a horrible joke. I'm sorry. Zach Robinson. If my team, if the Colts were in the running for a new offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson would be the guy. What he was able to do with Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua this year, having the greatest rookie wide receiver season we've ever seen. That is absolutely the guy I would want running my team, especially if you're a team like New England, which has been wide receiver Siberia for the last 2 or 3 years now.
No kidding. Obviously the McVay tree has been very, very successful in recent years. Throwing out some names. Was LaFleur a name from that McVay tree?
I think he was.
I believe
Zach Taylor obviously has had success with the Bengals. God, trying to think of other names.
I know LaFleur and McVay coached together. I believe they were coordinators on the same team. I don't know if
LaFleur was actually under McVay. Yeah. It was either him or San Francisco where LaFleur came from. I can't remember. But yeah, there's been a handful of really good coaches coming out of that McVay tree. And I think it's good that the Patriots are looking into that even a little bit, even if there's a little nepotism in there with Foxboro familiar names only. But that's neither here nor there. Let's go to the defense. The defense obviously remained top 10 despite everything going on last year. Lots of, with Matt Judon getting hurt, Christian Gonzalez getting hurt, Belichick being kind of a doofus at the end of the year. Not naming an official defensive coordinator between Gerard and Steve. Bit of a weird thing. But the defense remains stout. So essentially, I assume that Mayo is going to have an idea on how to coach these guys to get the most out of them. So here are the names that we brought in to really focus on the defense. So Mayo can kind of be the, I don't want to say the cloud that kind of oversees everything, but you kind of get what I'm getting at. DeMarcus Covington, been on the Patriots staff since 2017. Real solid. He's led Christian Barmore to a breakout season as a defensive line coach. I mean, what more could you want out of that? Michael Hodges, Saints linebackers coach. Demario Davis is a name that's over there. Could be something. And then Christian Parker from Denver, the defensive backs coordinator, overseeing Pat Surtain. And God, there was another corner that kind of was a late bloomer for them late in the year. God, I wish BR was here so he could tell me. But Denver has a pretty good secondary, I'd say. Pretty solid pass defense over there. And then Tem Lukabu. I really hate that I probably just butchered the shit out of that. Panthers outside linebackers coach and also served as Boston College's defensive coordinator last 2 years ago. So that is also interesting. None of these names really pop out to me, so I'm just going to make it quick. I think keep it in-house. You might as well where you can. DeMarcus Covington, real solid. Been in the building for 6 years now. Almost 7. Going to be a 7th year.
Yeah. Wouldn't be there that long if they were impressed with them, I'd assume. So
Can't hurt.
No.
And then special teams coordinator, obviously, because Joe Judge is out, thank God. Jeremy Springer.
Oh, what? You didn't like Joe Judge?
Oh, no. I know you don't like him either.
I loved him personally.
No, really.
Yeah.
Jeremy Springer, assistant special teams coach with the Rams. Marquise Williams. He's going to serve as the East team head coach in the Shrine Bowl next week. He was under the Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching Fellowship and he's spending time in the NFC North with the Bears and the Lions. Assistant special teams coach by the Chargers. He was under Matt Patricia in 2019. And then he has spent the last 3 seasons with the Falcons. So, interesting name. And then Thomas McConaughey. He's been the special teams coordinator for the Giants the past 6 seasons. Thomas McConaughey. So,
No.
John, I'm looking to you. What do you think of Tom McConaughey here? McConaughey.
I don't think in the last decade, which is like the better part of his career here, we have had good special teams. I mean, we usually have a good kicker. We kind of like luck into a good kicker.
Graham Gano.
Our MVP. But yeah, like our, kick coverage is terrible. Our punter's sometimes fine. But we lose a lot in special teams plays. We don't get yardage. We don't make any good plays happen. The truth of the matter is we fumble a shitload. And we just don't hire anybody that seems very good at fielding kicks, which seems strange. It seems like everybody just kind of sticks somebody fast there and gets away with it. We can't even do that. They dropped the ball. It was bad. Don't hire him. He's bad.
Okay, great. So we want to stay away from that tree.
Yeah, keep that. Get rid of him.
No, but I mean, we'd be taking them off your hands. So you might be pulling for that.
I think we fired him.
Oh, you fired him.
I believe so. We got rid of him as soon as we got rid of Bobby Johnson.
He's allegedly the most experienced of the coordinators that we've interviewed. Before the Giants, he spent time with the Panthers, with the 49ers, the Jets, and LSU.
Huh.
All in terrible years. So the Panthers 2016, 2017, not great. After that Super Bowl, they kind of fell off quick. The 49ers in 2015, forget about it.
Yeah.
The Jets in 2014, extra forget about it. That was Sanchez's last year, if not Gino's first year. And then LSU 2011 to 13, were they any good?
Yeah.
Were they?
Those teams, I believe that was Tyrann Mathieu. I mean, obviously he wouldn't work with Tyrann Mathieu, but those teams were really good.
11 to 13. Yeah, I suppose that adds up. Okay, so he has one good stop in the last decade.
He had some kind of medical issue in the midst of us having him, and he got sick. I can't remember what it was, and he went away for a little while, and then he came back and he was bad. I don't know if it affected him to not be healthy enough to do the job, but he's gotten away with having the job for entirely too long. I'm glad he's gone. I hope he gets healthy. I don't wish anything bad on the guy, but he was a bad coordinator. It was not a good experience with him.
And I'm assuming Marquise Williams being on the Falcons the last couple of years, they probably don't have a great resume on special teams. I've heard bad things from Patriots fans in the comments. So who knows if they actually watch other teams' football? I'm not convinced, but they might have a better idea than I do.
And it's the special teams doesn't have to be bad.
So give me Jeremy Springer from the Rams. You might as well.
That's the best team on the list anyway. So
yeah, so that's it for the interviews and coordinators. Obviously, most of our thoughts are with that offense, and I do lean going with the Zach Robinsons or Nick Caley's. I'd be more interested in Robinson because pass game coordinator is a little bit more of a flashy title than tight ends coach.
Yeah,
but we'll see. We will see, indeed. With that in mind, we can clean our hands from this depressing Patriots talk. We can get right into some fun from this past weekend with the NFL divisional round. A big, big, big upgrade from the games we saw on Wild Card Weekend. Pre-show, I said maybe we should get rid of the 7 seed, go back to the 2 buys and 6 teams, but Trent informed me that they lose money that way. So suppose we should just nip that in the bud right there. But let's talk about it. Let's get the bad game out of the way. The Ravens and the Texans, kind of a smoke show. 34-14, I believe, was the score there. Let me pull up Google just to make sure. 34-10. I gave the Texans a little too much credit. It was close in the beginning, 10-10. Eventually, the Ravens just kind of ran away with it.
Yeah.
John, I'll pitch it to you. Do you have any takeaways? I mean, any parting thoughts for the Texans or any thoughts for the Ravens going forward?
Really good season for the Texans, honestly. They took it a lot further than anybody assumed they would. I know a guy who follows the Arizona Cardinals. He was pretty excited to have their pick, and He ain't so much anymore. I think it's just an experience thing for Stroud.
Oh
be able
yeah,
to even get
great
there.
experience for his first year, and he looked awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Better than anybody thought he would year one.
He could have easily been like in the MVP talks for a little bit there.
Yeah, if he didn't get hurt.
Right.
But the Ravens obviously dominant.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They're gonna have to beat themselves.
Listen, the Chiefs were impressive, but don't.
The defense will catch up to them because they have no receivers. It might not be close unless they score a lot of points on them.
Yeah.
I said earlier today, I think the Ravens are, for lack of a better term, a 10,000-pound rolling ball of chainsaws. They're going to get into the backfield. They're going to sack your quarterback. You can't stop Lamar Jackson with the way he's playing as long as they do not completely fold mentally. I don't see any of the three teams left beating them.
No. Yeah, that's all the way to the Super Bowl, definitely. It's not even just the Chiefs. It's definitely the Super Bowl. I don't see the 49ers getting it done. I think Brock Purdy's choking there. I think the 49ers get there and Brock Purdy finally,
Damn, you're getting a little ahead of us here, John.
His QBR. His QBR is awesome, bro.
You gotta save the Brock Purdy hate for the predictions because that's where we're really gonna shine it here. But the next game is 49ers Packers. The Packers swipe defeat from the jaws of victory with that Jordan Love interception late in the game. Primetime Purdy obviously leading that comeback drive with just so impressive, getting the ball on like the 50-yard line and then running with, as Trent said, the Red Sea parting and just scampering for a solid 8 yards. And then what was it, 3rd and 2? They run a bubble screen and they get it, and then on like first down they hand the ball off to CMC or whatever that sequence of plays was. It really speaks to the confidence they have in Brock Purdy there at the end of the game. But Trent, I think
he threw one pass that went over 10 yards. He threw one pass that went over 10 yards in that final drive.
Yeah, and I bet was most of that rack.
Yeah, I was about to say that's not even air yards. That's total yards. He threw one pass that went over 10 yards.
So it's probably something like got caught and taken somewhere better.
And obviously, if the Packers didn't miss a kick, and Matt LaFleur didn't have to pray every time the kicker goes on the field, maybe we're talking about a different game here. But I led off with John last game, so Trent, I'm leading off with you. Give me your takeaways from Niners Green Bay, without giving away too much of what you think about next week.
I think that, first of all, the Packers are legit and are going to be a serious problem in the future. Receivers, all super young, all great. Jordan Love,
reckless.
Despite throwing what is literally, and I'm using that term correctly, one of the 10 worst passes I've ever seen in my entire life.
Interjection real quick. Is the number one worst pass you've ever seen in your life the Mac Jones throw in Germany?
It's mine.
That one was bad. I don't know. That's just off the top of my head. I can't think of 10 passes worse than that. I mean, he checked every box of what they teach you in high school. Hey, never do this. Never throw.
The only problem was he didn't throw it cross body. That's the one thing he didn't check out.
He kind of did, though. He kind of did sidearm it like that. While it was in the air, I didn't even know what the coverage looked like. I stood up out of my seat and I was like, "What are you doing?" And then I saw the coverage and I was like, "Oh!" But Jordan Love looked great. Brock Purdy continues to be the biggest weakness on that team. For every pass he throws that is wow, which that Juwan Jennings pass was legit. Like if Patrick Mahomes threw that pass, it would impress me. For every pass like that, he has 5 passes that are dropped interceptions. So I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't rain next week in Detroit or next week in San Francisco where he's done. I don't know what else to say about that. But Niners look super beatable. If I'm a Vikings and especially a Bears fan with how good the Packers look, I'm feeling very dejected after
Little nervous. Yeah, that Packers team is legit. They're gonna be around for a little while. I probably should have scaled back my my doubts about Jordan Love, and I know that last pick probably should amplify my doubts a little more, but it really doesn't. He was flashy the whole game. He was.
Yeah, he
He
was.
was making. He had
He made like
just
one
as,
mistake, but it was that mistake. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. He had more oomph on his throws than Purdy did all year in that game. So
because Purdy doesn't have oomph.
no, he
Purdy doesn't
doesn't.
have anything.
But speaking of a mid quarterback getting carried by their teams here, Jared Goff takes over against Tampa, wins 31-23 against the Buccaneers. Lions going to the NFC Championship for the first time in what? Before any of our dads were alive?
1991.
Oh, okay. So
I
it's
believe
not that old yet.
1991.
Not that old yet.
So I'd have been
91.
like 3. I'd have been 2. I'd have been 2 years old.
Since John was 2 years old the first
Yeah.
time. John, let me just kick it to you. What do you think about that Lions-Bucks game?
I was pulling for Baker Mayfield. I've always liked Baker Mayfield, honestly. I thought
Are you sick of the Detroit fans?
let them have their fun. They haven't had
You're
any.
trying to push a narrative. That's exactly what
I don't
you're
have the right people to push the narrative I want on the show. We can get one call and we can switch this whole Detroit thing really quick. I think it gets a backup. But no, in all seriousness, the Buccaneers seem to be in an all right spot if they can retain most of their free agents next year. I mean, nobody thought that they'd make it this far.
No, not at all. Baker Mayfield looks very good there. It looks like the right place for him, and he's been looking for a right place for a long ass time, and I'm glad he found it. I don't know.
I think maybe if Stefanski had arrived in Cleveland like 2 years earlier,
Yeah,
Baker's probably still there.
probably.
100%. No doubt in my mind he is.
But
He's
Trent,
not a
I
bad
know you
quarterback.
put up a graphic, and I
thanks.
wanna see if this pisses off other Patriots fans too. So you had this thing in the chat earlier this week, and we all kind of agreed Baker Mayfield QB 13
Oh god.
for the season. He was about decent. What did you find in that graphic, Trent?
I found that Baker Mayfield stats are just as good, arguably better, than Tom Brady's last year in Tampa Bay with virtually the same talent around him, a different offensive coordinator. God forbid I forget that part. A different offensive coordinator. It's this is such a deep cut inside argument. Has this argument been on the pod before?
No.
Okay. I think Tom Brady retired for no other reason than he knew that he was losing it. He hadn't lost it. It wasn't 2015 Peyton Manning, but you could tell something was different. And he definitely could too. I refuse to believe that after 26 years in the NFL, 25, whatever it was, Tom Brady finally decided to retire for his family. I find that very hard.
He unretired because he didn't want to spend more time with his family.
Exactly. And he almost came back out of retirement this past season.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you on that. I just thought I was curious. Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady at 45, Baker Mayfield 29, whatever the hell he is at this point. 29 might be stretching it a little bit. I don't know how old Baker Mayfield is.
That sounds about right. Because
no way. Baker Mayfield
was,
age. Well, let's see what Siri comes up with.
Give or take 1 year.
Siri didn't come up with
28.
anything. He's 28? Okay, so I was close.
I don't know.
Yep.
I think he is.
Oh, I thought you had actually looked it up.
No, you're looking up. Why would I have done it?
28. You're right. 28 years old.
28,
Hey.
yeah. Because he was a year after Mahomes, and I know Mahomes is 28, and Baker was in college for a long time.
He'll turn 29 in April.
Yeah.
So there we go. 29-year-old Baker
awesome.
Mayfield finally getting around to 45-year-old Tom Brady. As disingenuously Weasley that I can put that. Up next.
Stop it. Stop.
Up next.
Real quick before we move on. I don't know how happy you're going to be about this, Kaleb, but I got to give Dan Campbell his flowers.
I was really hoping we could skip that part, but sure.
I have to, and I haven't seen a lot of people bring this point up, but it would have been so easy for this Lions team to walk into the playoffs like they were playing with house money. I mean, you won the division for the first time in over 30 years. It would have been so easy for them to go into that Rams game and say, well, we won the division, can't really be upset with how things go from this point on, especially against a white hot Rams team that a lot of people were picking to upset them in their own house. And in that game, you could tell they were laser focused on it, playing like they were playing for a Super Bowl. And that's what the difference was in that game. Didn't choke. The same old Lions stuff is dead. Went into that game against Tampa Bay, same exact thing, laser focused. Dan Campbell's probably not going to win Coach of the Year. From what I can tell, it's probably going to go to Kevin Stefanski, and I think he deserves it. Kevin Stefanski does, by that means. But keeping this team and this organization with the culture that it has had, as focused as they were, they haven't won in 30 years. They don't know what to do with themselves. It's that, like, I don't know what to do with my hands. It's like that joke. And to keep them as focused as they have heading into the NFC Championship game, I think I can't give enough praise to the job he's done in Detroit.
No, this is where it gets dicey though. That when you leave home field to go on the road, and I don't want to say after last week, can we really call San Francisco a tough environment? But
if it's raining, yeah, for Brock Purdy.
Yeah, maybe the same for Jared Goff too. I don't know. It's gonna be a battle of whose QB poops themselves first down there in San Francisco. But we still have one more game to go over before we get into that. And Trent, I know you've been saving a little something for the pod here, talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Kansas City Chiefs outwilling the Buffalo Bills 27-24. Tyler Bass missed the kick. You know the deal. Mahomes going on to his 8th AFC Championship already, whatever the hell it is. 6th, not 8th, 6th.
6th consecutive AFC Championship.
My God,
he's never in his career as a starter. He has never finished worse than the AFC Championship game.
God, I kind of want him to win just because of how awkward the conversation is going to get. And as much as I'm a Patriots fan, I do love me some awkward, hostile conversations, as you can tell. Trent, I know you've been saving it, but I got to start with John first because I got to let you build it up. I got to let you build up that anticipation of that hard-hitting analysis that you always deliver on top. But John, we're going to go to you first. Chiefs, Bills, you got any major takeaways from that outside of Jason Kelce being the most likable Eagle of all time?
Yeah, Jason Kelce. He terrorized us for an entire decade and a half. I'm not gonna miss him. I don't have any hard feelings about him personally.
No, it's actually an honor that you won't miss him.
Yeah. I don't hate the guy, but I hate watching him beat he's the only one that can do anything about Dexter Lawrence, and I kind of despise him for it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Bills should have won that game. I feel like
really.
Yeah, honestly, it was a better team. They're better built. They just don't have what it takes, I guess. They never do.
They don't got the cojones.
Nah, they ain't got the it factor. Josh Allen's I don't even know what to compare him to.
Ben Roethlisberger, Phil Rivers.
Ben Roethlisberger succeeded in getting to Super Bowl.
Yeah, but he had to have Tom Brady hurt or eliminated to do it.
That's fair.
The one year that Patrick Mahomes doesn't get to play Buffalo in the playoffs for whatever reason, whether it be injury or kind of this fluky elimination that comes before it. That's the year Josh Allen's gonna win a Super Bowl when he doesn't have to play.
That's the year Lamar Jackson's gonna win another one.
Last year they weren't even good enough to play the Chiefs because they played Cincinnati and got absolutely pantsed.
Yeah, and they almost got pantsed by Miami's backup in the wild card.
Skylar Thompson.
Yeah.
Kansas State legend, Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm telling you, that's the one path that Buffalo needs to succeed, just to completely avoid Mahomes and the Chiefs. Or you avoid God, did the Steelers ever have to play Peyton in the playoffs either? In either of those two runs?
Yep. 2000, the first Super Bowl year, 05. They beat the Colts.
Oh, the Seahawks.
No, the Seahawks. Yeah, they beat the Colts that year in the playoffs.
Got it. Was it a close game?
Okay, but Peyton Manning was like a playoff choke artist.
Yeah, well, that game we lost because Mike Vanderjagt missed a field goal.
Idiot kicker.
Okay, the Colts are choke artists then.
I've heard a crazy story about that. Don't get me started on Peyton Manning in the playoffs. I like the Colts, I promise, but Colts fans don't think I do when I talk about Peyton Manning. But anyway,
he was very
there's
cool
a crazy story.
season.
There's a crazy story about why the Colts lost that Steelers game in a field goal, and I don't know if it's true, so I'll save it for after the podcast and we can
What?
Boo. I don't know the shit. I don't want to spread misinformation.
Boo.
I don't want to spread misinformation.
Spreading misinformation is what we're all about, Trent.
Here, how about this? So okay. I'll like when you guys are talking at the next point, I'll look it up and see if it's true, and I'll bring it back up.
Okay. But it's time. It's time for your Josh Allen rant.
Yeah.
Time to go swinging, buddy. Let's go.
Yeah, it really bothers me that people are blaming that loss on Tyler Bass not being able to make a 44-yard field goal in the wind when it's freezing cold outside. Certainly not a gimme. I mean, should he have hit it? Probably, but I think to blame it on that is ridiculous. It would have been a better field goal if they had a better quarterback, but that's kind of the point I want to get into, which is, how can we call Josh Allen elite when there's probably 10 quarterbacks in the NFL you would rather trust to win you a big game?
It's a hot take.
Not lead a final drive from start to finish, win you a big game. Who would you trust more to win you a big game, Kirk Cousins or Josh Allen?
Kirk.
Who would you trust more to win you a big game, CJ Stroud or Josh Allen?
Stroud, yeah.
I mean, who would you trust more? I mean, we can go down the line. I mean, the obvious ones. Obviously, you trust Mahomes more, Burrow more, Lamar more. Shoot. Who would you trust more to win you a big game, Brock Purdy or Josh Allen?
Allen.
Yeah, still Josh Allen.
Yeah, I'm going Allen. I'm going Allen.
I'd have to think about that one. This is why I would have to think about
it. Okay, Trent, put Brock Purdy in Buffalo.
Brock Purdy.
Put Brock Purdy in Buffalo. How's that going for him? I think the Chiefs spoke them.
They do not make playoffs.
Look, this is why this is.
They don't go on that 6-game win streak to even get there. Yeah.
Once I explain, well, they wouldn't have been in that spot to begin with if they had Purdy, because there's a reason why they were in that spot. After I explain it, I think you'll get why I think it's a serious conversation about Purdy over Allen as far as winning a big game after that. Since Joe Brady became the offensive coordinator, people haven't really talked about it much, but they have whittled Josh Allen down to a super athletic game manager. Do you guys know how many games Josh Allen has thrown for 250 or more yards since he became the OC?
No, I had him in fantasy football, and he was scoring a lot of points, but it seemed like he was just hitting like rushing touchdowns mostly.
Yeah, he was. He threw for 250 yards one time.
Was it against us?
I don't know the game for sure, but you know what also happened in that game he threw for over 250? He turned the ball over 3 times. Because Joe Brady and Sean McDermott realized the reason why they were in that spot is because they cannot trust Josh Allen to not lose them a game. When Josh Allen's firing on all cylinders and he's taking care of the ball, you can see the heights of that conference championship game against the Chiefs when he looks like one of the best quarterbacks you've ever seen. But this game against the Chiefs was a perfect microcosm for why you cannot win big with Josh Allen as your quarterback. That whole game, I believe we might have shared this in the group chat. Josh Allen against the Chiefs completed all 16 of his passes thrown behind the line of scrimmage. Went 16 for 16.
That's a Mac Jones stat.
Yep. And all the passes beyond the line of scrimmage, he was 10 for 21. Eesh. And he had 2 completions past the first down marker that entire game. They were in that game with the Chiefs because they turned him into an overly athletic game manager and stopped him from making those mistakes. And what happened in that last drive?
They had to make him throw, and he couldn't.
Yep. He threw one good ball to Stephon Diggs, and then that was it.
Diggs
He
dropped
fumbled.
that though. Like
Well, no, Diggs did drop it. No, that was a good ball by Josh Allen.
they
But what
should
happened the
have been
rest
in
of
a
that?
better position, and I think they've kind of lost all their momentum at that point. Like
Well, no, they hadn't lost their momentum. They were very, I mean, they got into field goal range, but the problem was, what did Josh start doing? He started doing his best Brett Favre impression. He fumbled the ball, was lucky to even get it back to begin with, so he almost lost the game one time. Then, instead of just throwing checkdowns to get Bass an easier field goal and start milking that clock, he starts throwing YOLO shots at the end zone when they don't need it.
yeah,
Because Josh Allen, like a deer in headlights, whenever the game is on the line, that is what he does. He turns the ball over. He makes bad passes. You cannot trust him. I don't know if it's a maturity issue. I don't know what it is, but there was a clear shift in the way that offense ran and the way they used Josh Allen when Joe Brady got there. And Joe Brady should be getting head coach opportunities left, right, and center because what happened? They went on a hot streak and got the 2 seed because they stopped relying on Josh Allen. The only problem is when you don't have the super high highs of Josh Allen that also come with those super low lows, you're just a good team. And that's why they lost to the Chiefs. And you look at it, you look at next year, you look at the way this team is built. We kind of teed this up before we were going on the podcast. This past season, Josh Allen's cap hit on the cap was, if I can find it right here, $18.6 million against the cap. That's what he is.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. And you have a lot of issues with your cap. The Von Miller situation is a nightmare. Who could have thought giving a 35-some-year-old pass rusher massive contract would come back to bite you in the butt?
That and a bunch of other issues.
A bunch of other issues. Stephon Diggs' thing is also an
No,
issue.
I was talking about Von Miller issues.
Oh, well, yeah, that's besides the point, though.
I don't think he was even healthy when they signed him. Like
he might not have been. I can't remember.
I can't remember anymore.
I think when they signed him, he was healthy, but then he blew his ACL late last year.
Like
and it's been a
immediately?
rocky kind of comeback.
Oh, he hasn't done
Yeah.
shit this year at all.
Nope.
He's been very much useless. Even the games he played, he got I think a total of 2 tackles, maybe.
Well, I was gonna say he had 2 tackles and 0 sacks against the Chiefs this past weekend. On the season, he had 3 tackles and 0 sacks. If that tells you how rough of a season Von Miller's had, and he's the second highest paid guy on the team. Next year, Josh Allen's cap hit is $47 million.
Yep. So you're saying that you would look to move off of Josh Allen right now?
I don't know what you do because he's such an immensely talented guy that it's hard to move off of that. But he's proven outside of the one game against the Chiefs, that conference title game where he was spectacular, outside of that game, he will lose you a whole lot more of these games than he will win you.
He's a super athletic Brett Favre.
Yeah, well, think about it like this. That's even giving him too much credit. That's giving him too much credit. When you think about a guy who puts up these massive stats in the regular season, and then you can't even trust him to not throw an interception on any given play, doesn't that sound a lot like Dak Prescott?
Yeah.
Nobody's calling Dak Prescott elite.
It's true.
That's fair.
That's I'm done pontificating about Josh Allen. I just think that
is it fair to maybe say Josh Allen has elite traits that he just does not utilize? And that might be why
I think he has elite traits
deal.
that just get held back by his dumb brain.
Yeah,
Right,
I think his brain works funny. It's the wrong way to put it.
Like he's got too much of that big arm throw far mentality that he can't hold himself to just take the little checkdowns. He gets impatient. It's the same thing that people tried to criticize Mahomes about early in his career, that he just couldn't be patient, that he wanted the big play every single time and he wanted to be Superman, which Mahomes did early in his career. He's peeled that back a lot, and now he's just basically, I don't want to say perfect, but pretty damn close.
He's laser accurate.
Allen, he hasn't developed that patience, and he's just that gunslinger, big arm throw far. That's ultimately what he is.
Yep. And if he wouldn't have reverted back to that in that last drive, that game is at least going to overtime. I feel very confidently about that. They might have just ran the clock out and won the game, but Josh couldn't help himself. And I believe that's what lost him the game, not Tyler Bass missing a tough kick.
But all right, any further thoughts from this past weekend, or do we want to dive right into our conference championship talks?
I'm good.
Trent?
No, we're good. I
Yeah.
felt like for some reason we had missed a game for some reason, but
No. We
got
just
him.
we didn't talk very long about the Ravens Texans game.
Yeah,
That was probably it, because there wasn't a whole lot to talk about besides kudos to the Texans for having a stellar year. But Sunday, January 28th at 3:00, the Kansas City Chiefs, they are headed to Baltimore, take on the Ravens. I don't know the betting lines for this one. I usually try to fill them in, but let me just try to pull it up here. John, while I pull these up, what do you think about Chiefs Ravens for the AFC title game?
I think the Ravens are gonna win. They just look totally dominant at every level.
The Ravens are 3.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
So that line has went up then.
Has it?
Yep. It was they were giving up 3 the other day.
Yeah, as of 10 hours ago, it is 3.5.
It was bound to, and I think it's gonna go up a little more too.
That sounds about right to me. I hate counting out Patrick Mahomes in a game like this because he's proven he can win on the road in the playoffs too.
I'm not counting
to him.
out. I'm counting his weapons out. I know them. Half of them were on the Giants last year. They suck. He doesn't even use those ones. So it's Travis Kelce and friends.
And they're hardly friends.
And they're barely friends.
So give me a score for that, John. What do you think of Chiefs, Ravens?
I think that's still going to be close. I think they're just going to score back and forth, and I think Patrick Mahomes is going to make the best of a bad situation like he always does with that offense. I don't know, 31-34.
Solid. Trent, what do you think?
This game is so tough because I think we brought up both of my feelings about it. Is I think the Ravens are the best team in the league. When Lamar is on like he was in the second half of that game against Houston, I don't know if anybody can beat him, but there are 2 quarterbacks who have ever beaten Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. It's Tom Brady and Joe Burrow. In that Joe Burrow game, Patrick Mahomes had by far the worst playoff game of his entire career. Just looked completely uncharacteristic. So I think the Chiefs, and this is probably a hot take, a lot of people wouldn't agree, but I think the Chiefs' defense is just as good as Baltimore's is.
I agree.
Yeah, Trent McDuffie, Chris Jones, especially if they're able to get Willie Gay back. I don't know what his availability is looking like for the game, but I said the same thing always when the Patriots were on top. I never bet against Tom Brady. I would never do it, and I find it hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, last week, the Chiefs made a lot of mistakes in that game, and they still won. And they're kind of getting into that, and a lot of viewers of the show might not like it. They're getting into that Patriots zone where they just find a way. Even when stuff isn't looking great, they're just finding a way. And this is going to be the toughest playoff game of Lamar's career. I mean, beating up on the Texans were a great story, and they were a good team, but if you're a 2-time MVP, you should be winning those. That's expected of you. It's going to be a huge accomplishment if the Ravens are able to win, but I think I'm going to pick the Chiefs. As iffy as I am about it, I'll go Chiefs 24-21.
You know what, Trent? I was expecting to be the only guy picking the Chiefs here. I was expecting it. I'm glad that a real ball knower like yourself is standing in line with me. Makes me feel a little better. Give me the Chiefs. I mean, listen, Lamar, fantastic year, gonna win the MVP. Ravens, best team, offense, defense, special teams. The whole build is incredible. Like Trent said, there's something about the Chiefs, and they just get things done. That playoff game, I mean, they had no weapons whatsoever, and you see Marquez Valdez-Scantling making over-the-shoulder catches. Travis Kelce finally getting open. What did he score? 2 touchdowns last week?
I believe so, yep.
Didn't he have 2? solid. Taylor Swift's going to be in the building. Always a good factor.
Which, by the way, he's 7 catches away from passing Jerry Rice on the all-time playoff.
He passed Gronk for the most touchdowns too. Listen, man, this kind of reminds me of the 2018 Patriots, where the offense wasn't great, but they find something with their run game. They find something with their little talent at pass catcher that they do have, and they made it work. Not to say that there's anybody on that wide receiver core that's even close to like Super Bowl 53 MVP Julian Edelman. Like that dude in that playoff run was on steroids, literally. But give me the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs. I feel okay about it. I feel really okay about it. I'll go 28. 28-27.
I did say it was going to be close, so I ain't even disagreeing with you guys necessarily. I just think it's the Ravens here.
No, listen, man. Nobody would be surprised at all if the
This is a
Ravens
tough
just
game.
listen. I wouldn't even be surprised if the Ravens shellacked them. Like I think they're just that talented.
I wouldn't be either.
But the Chiefs aren't winning in a blowout. I'll say that right now. They're winning a close game. I don't think the Lamar would have to poop himself really to just make that game a blowout in the Chiefs' favor. But I don't see that. I think it's gonna be a really, really good game. Very, very good AFC Championship game. But give me the Chiefs. Can't bet against Mahomes. My best Tony Romo impression there. Finally, the NFC title game. This is probably like the matchup I wanted the least. In all honesty, like I want nothing to do with this one. The Niners defend home turf against the Detroit Lions. Detroit becoming one of the most obnoxious fan bases in the NFL right now. I can't stand it. And the Niners, listen, me and Trent are in like minds. If we have to hear 2 more weeks of this Brock Purdy talk, we might commit arson. But it's neither here nor there. I led off with John last time, so Trent, let's go up to you. The Niners are 9.5-point favorites according to FanDuel.
Oh my, that's insane.
That's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points. I don't know how you watch last week's game and feel that confident about San Francisco.
Should I check the weather in San Francisco this weekend?
Sure, yeah. That I think there's something to be said about it. It's very cliche and it's very not ball knowing anything like that. But
it's gonna be like 60 degrees at kick. Oh wait, no. We need to account for San Francisco time. So what's that? Be 3:00-ish at their time. It's gonna be 67 at kickoff for them on Sunday. Clear skies.
Clear skies, yeah.
If this game is played on Saturday, it'd be rainy and it'd be interesting.
Yeah. I don't know how you watch how Brock Purdy played last week and feel confident that they're going to win this game, especially since Deebo Samuel may or may not be playing. We still
really.
Don't know. Oh, they're saying he's 50-50 right now. They're saying he's 50-50, and Brock has played pretty poorly in the past when he's missing one of his guys, whether it be Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa. Nick Wright likes to call them the Avengers. Anytime he's missing one of the Avengers, Brock has completely fell apart usually. And I don't know if Brock Purdy has the toughness to hang with how this Detroit defense is going to put him on his ass, more than likely. As long as Jared Goff plays well, which Jared Goff on the road the past few years has been not the greatest. I don't know where as I'm saying this, I don't know where I'm going with this game. I find it hard to bet against San Francisco. I think they're just too good at every position.
Except quarterback.
But I think that going back to what I said about Dan Campbell, the Lions want this bad. And they're playing with their head on fire right now. Detroit is the much hotter team going in. I'll take the Lions. I'll take the Lions by 3, 31-28.
Woo! Feel the heat turning on in here. John, Niners, Lions, what do you think? What are you feeling? What's the vibe?
On the side of the 49ers, you have like damn near a perfect defense, like elite top to bottom. You got fantastic weapons on offense, like between Kittle, Ayuk, Debo Samuel, and
Fantastic
CMC.
head coach.
Fantastic head coach. Head coach can make pretty much any running back he puts back there an elite running back. And now he has an actual elite running back. Like it's but like he scored like every week, right? McCaffrey did
No, he missed
Every
one
week
week.
but one. Yep.
one every week. Okay,
Fantasy championship week. Thanks for reminding me.
right.
Oh, then 2 weeks then, because there was another week during the season he didn't score.
Was
That
there?
is that's
Yeah,
so
because he
wild,
broke the
though, like
streak.
that he was like almost averaging a touchdown. Like, all that being said, Brock Purdy throws so many almost interceptions that should positively be interceptions. And through voodoo magic, the mother not to
Good
swear,
catch, John.
but they don't become interceptions. They become drops by the defenders. And then he gets another go at it. And then he has one of those nice passes and they move the chains. One of these times the chickens are going to come home to roost. And I think it's not going to be the Lions. I think it's going to be the Ravens. What's the score? I think Goff's going to choke. I think that's going to be why.
As I said last week, I think, or not last week, last segment.
Like, it legitimately wouldn't shock me if they went in and got blown out.
This game is going to be about which quarterback poops themselves first.
100%.
It's a really bad game of chicken.
Yeah, Brock Purdy is going to actually have all those drops end up interceptions one of these games, and I just think it's going to be the next game. Like,
Right,
I think the 49ers are going.
Yeah, you're feeling 49ers? You feeling like a 42-27 type game?
Not 42. It'll be in like 30, 35 maybe.
35-27?
Yeah, sure. That'll work.
Okay. God, like I said, I was really hoping that this was not the game that I would have to deal with, but like that we're gonna have Tampa in San Francisco. We're gonna have Tampa in Green Bay. Like, disgusting. Like, no, these are the two best teams remaining in the NFC, as much as I hate to say it.
Everybody in the NFC's quarterback has like a very firm position in the Mendoza line.
Yeah, no kidding. Listen, the Niners, they played with their food last week. That was the problem. They played with their food. They should have handedly beat Green Bay.
Yeah.
It really should have. And I know how good Green Bay is, how flashy the talent is, and how they're on the come up. I get it. They shouldn't have been hanging with the Niners. Not at all.
Probably not.
Absolutely not. They can't afford to even do that for a second with Detroit. Detroit's coming in here with nothing to lose and everything to gain. They're not feeling the pressure. They're going to put the pressure on the Niners. They don't feel pressure. They're happy to be here, and they're hungry to get more. The Niners, they have some weird kind of California, just laid back, cool energy about them, and I'm not feeling it. So as much as it kills me to say this, just absolutely kills me. Detroit's going to the Super Bowl. They are.
It's a crazy sentence.
It's weird that it's even possible.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell's a miracle worker. He was just the perfect coach for that team.
Listen, I'm really excited to see what Dan Campbell does without Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn.
Yep.
Or I don't think Aaron Glenn's getting head coaching interviews right now, but without Ben Johnson, let's see what Jared Goff turns into. But with that, God, can you imagine the Niners getting ran out of town in their own stadium?
No, that's why I told you they're gonna win.
Could you imagine that?
I think if you tell me going in it's going to be a blowout, I think the Niners most likely win. But I mean, Brock Purdy just a few weeks ago just threw 4 interceptions against the Ravens. I don't think it is absolutely on the board that he has another game like that.
Like John said, he's due.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the Lions 35-21, 2 possessions.
Wow.
2
The thing
possessions.
about Brock Purdy, though, that is the thing. Every single game could have been that game. Defenders dropped the ball. Like, I watched them play the Giants. We played against them. There was like 2 interceptions dropped. One Banks had, and I can't remember the other guy. But we like legitimately, Brock Purdy has got some kind of magic powers or something. Like
Jimmy G had the same powers, but he got burned eventually because he just kept doing it.
that's what it is. Yeah.
Which I want to say, I'm so glad you brought up Jimmy Garoppolo. As Jap, I'm not sure how you feel about Jimmy G, but Kaleb and I, both card-carrying members of the Jimmy G fan club. And yeah, we all always acknowledged that Jimmy G was just a guy good enough on a good team to get you to a Super Bowl. That's all it ever was. I don't think we were ever out here saying Jimmy Garoppolo was one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the league, that he was an MVP. But that's what people were trying to say with Brock Purdy. And then the second you don't say that Brock Purdy is the second coming of Tom Brady, oh, now you're a hater. Oh, my goodness. And all this.
I am so finding that clip and sending it to the group chat after this.
I mean, we get told on a regular basis by the Brock Purdy delegation, oh, you just got to watch the games, bro. If you think that there's all these dropped interceptions and he's an inaccurate passer, you just got to watch the game. I saw with my own eyes Brandon Ayuk turn into Brian Dawkins like that because there was such a horrible pass that he had to tackle the defender from intercepting it. And that's happened all season. He's been good in spots. When they've needed him to be good, he's been fine, save for that Ravens game and the Cleveland game. But this idea, I don't know. I asked this question earlier this year to all of the Purdy fans, said, okay, well, if he's so good, would you give him a max extension right now? And every single one of them said no. So that should tell you all you need to know about how they actually feel about Brock Purdy.
And I bet you even if he wins the Super Bowl, they would still say no.
Yeah, even then they would say no because they know. Deep down they know. I get it. Defend your guy and all that, but they know.
It's not him. It's just he's good enough in the right offense, and he's a game manager, you know.
All right.
Bold prediction right now. If they do anything less than win the Super Bowl, Kirk Cousins is going to be the starting quarterback for the 49ers next season.
Whoa.
I'll put that there right now. Shanahan's wanted Kirk there for years now. If
give
Kirk,
him an excuse, damn it.
if he's wanted him there for years. If Purdy just craps the bed in front of God and everybody in one of these next 2 games, I think there's going to, at the very least, be a serious quarterback competition in camp.
Damn. Trent delivered the fire tonight. I love it. Want to come back next week?
Sure.
Absolutely. The Super Bowl preview with Trent. Oh, give me the veins. Give me it. Right in the veins. All right. So with all that in mind, any parting thoughts before we sign off from this playoff BeatCast? No. Great. All right.
Yep.
Trent, John, thank you for joining the craziness tonight. John, I will see you on Thursday for the Beat Sides.
Is that when we decided to do that?
Is that Thursday or Wednesday or tomorrow?
I don't know.
I don't remember. Maybe I think it's Thursday. Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday, new episode of Beat Sides. You'll have me, John, Tristan. I don't know who else is on there. If there was anybody else on there, we'll talk about some wrestling. Big Royal Rumble coming up for all you wrestling fans. And that's been it. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow the show. Again, Trent, John, thank you for joining me. And as always, wait, I don't have to say go Patriots anymore. Go Suns. We'll see you all next week.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Foxboro BeatCast. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.